you just interrupt everyone you meet, or am I a special case?
You know what we need? A proper survey of the battle.
Serious fighting, not a
Laughing about we already got maps. You call me. You're back! Don't let Petra hear you say that, or she'll hammer your head out there.
Hey, Mildef. Mildef. I took some of your stew last time I went into the wilds. Kept me going for a week. Felt like I could have put a strider in a sleeper hold.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Sounds like you're serving up some impressive provisions here.
Not again. You can have the discount too, but you'll have to come back later.
I think you have me confused with someone else.
Oven didn't send you?
No.
Oh, my apologies. It's just that his minions won't stop pestering me. Now I've even worn out my special grill. Since I'm in the midst of a crisis, perhaps you could skip to what it is you wanted?
Some of your food?
Of course.
Are Ulvin's people causing you problems?
Oh, yeah. They constantly demand my best, but the equipment I need to make my signature dishes isn't built for batch cooking. And don't get me started on the Ulvin discount they feel so entitled to.
And if you refuse?
I make meals, not trouble.
How did you end up in Chainscrape?
Heard about a new and upcoming town at the edge of the frontier. Where there's a town, there's a tavern. I was in need of work. So I got myself out here and started cooking. Some of these people had never tasted proper boars and berries stew before. Anyway, next thing I knew, people kept coming back. Guess they liked my food. Or the ale.
Your last customer mentioned your cooking really kept him going out in the wild. Where I'm headed, I could use some of that.
I would be happy to oblige, especially since you have the decency to ask pleasantly. But my special groove griddle is no more. Without it, I can't cook any of my signature dishes. I hate to think what'll happen when I'm forced to refuse Ulvin or his goons. Even if I already had the right ingredients, there's nothing I can do. Unless you can source me a temporary replacement?
What do you need?
For the ingredients, a few pieces of decent wild meat, and I'd say a big handful of bitter leaf stems. That'll do. As for the griddle, a corrugated metal panel might suffice until I can have a new one forged. You'd likely find one in the scrounger pile if you follow the river to the northeast. Don't worry, I'll clean it first. You'll have no issue finding boars and bitter leaf on your way. Assuming you're as much a hunter-gatherer as your clothing suggests.
Thanks, Mildef. I'll keep an eye out.
So that's what gratitude sounds like.
And don't let anyone push you around, okay?
If you say so.
Already got enough wild meat. Just need to pick some bitter leaf and grab a metal panel from the scrounger pile.
That was a big deal in the claim, and don't you deny it.
savior! Over here!
Savior, thank you for taking the time. And my condolences that you had to endure Ulvin's bloviating.
I've dealt with worse. It sounds like he's really trying to put you over the barrel.
The idea that the Carja purposely let bristlebacks into the Daunt, it's completely absurd. But the louder and longer he says it, the more support he'll get for his damned concession decree.
How did the bristlebacks get into the Daunt?
No one knows for sure. The first report of them came from west of the quarry. But unless they have wings I don't know about, I don't see how they could have come over the mountains.
No other way in.
The only way I know about is barren light. Look, if you can get to the bottom of this, I can offer a considerable bounty in return. Help me shut Ulvund up.
What is this concession decree that Ulvund wants?
He wants the Sundom to designate portions of the Daunt as Oseram holdings. Only the portions, mind you, that produce any value.
Let me guess. Because he stands to profit somehow?
Exactly. With the Daunt under Oseram law, he could secure more investment for their numerous ventures.
He can't get those investments without the concession?
No. Not while there's a chance the Sundom could revoke their access. Hence, why the concession is so important to him. And why blaming the Carja for the bristlebacks, no matter how absurd, works in his favor.
How does blaming the Carja for the bristlebacks help Ulvund get his concession?
Look around. This may be the Sundom, but Chainscrape is all gears and rust and bad ale. Claiming that the Carja loosed the bristlebacks in order to intimidate Oseram laborers into obedience. Well, let's just say no one here has forgotten the atrocities of the mad Sun King, even with the valley working again. Ulvund hopes he can stir up enough resentment against the Carja to call for a strike.
And if the Oseram refuse to work, unless the concession is signed, you won't have a choice.
Correct. The reconstruction of Barren Light must continue.
How did you get stuck out here?
I asked for the posting, believe it or not. Overseeing the entire valley on behalf of the Sun King? It was an honor. Is an honor, I mean.
But your job would be a lot easier without someone like Ulvund blasting hot air all the time?
Ulvund's not going anywhere. He's been around longer than I have. Even fancies himself the founder of Chainscrape. Well, I'll find a way to live with him. I have to.
You said the bristlebacks were first spotted west of the quarry?
Yes, according to one terrified laborer, said the ground trembled before they came charging down the hillside. He took off and ran all the way here.
Good place to start looking, then.
If you learn the truth, maybe Ulvund will stop blaming the Carja for every problem under the sun, and maybe then he'll actually focus on rebuilding Barren Light instead.
My cup is empty.
can get data to override machines from cauldrons. Just need to find one. Fire can help here. Machine will take a lot of damage from acid. Scroungers. Motive said I could find a metal panel in one of their scrap piles. to extract. Could do a lot of damage. No metal panel. Better check another scrap pile. Now to look through the scrap piles for a metal panel. This metal panel should work for Mildef. Now I just need to gather some bitter leaf. This pigment will work well on armor. I think I have everything I need for Mildef. Good thing, too. I can use a decent meal. Could use fire against it.
Be welcome, Aloy.
Ah, there you are. I happen to receive another visit from Olvin himself. He was pushy, but I stood my ground. And dare I say it, I even got my own back. Yes, I did.
I'm listening.
When I made his meal, I used 3 pinches of salt. Instead of 2.
Each journey begins with a single step, I guess. I think I have everything you asked for.
Then just as you have inspired me, let us see if I can return the favor. Time to cook.
Wow. Mildef, that was inspired.
Next time you want the best provisions, you know where to find me. And your next order of any dish will be on the house.
Thanks. And don't forget to stand up for yourself.
Funny you should say that. As it happens, I'm already cooking up my next portion of resistance. Hope to see you again.
It might be a good idea to stock up on some food before I head back out. And see what else Mildef's cooking up.
Keep you going on your travels.
Aloy, it's a tonight
change your mind about that brew?
Any tribe can enjoy it. Come to revel in some strike, sister? Let me set the board.
I was just passing by.
First timer, huh? Don't worry about it. I'll go easy on you. You got any pieces?
No.
Well, aren't you in luck then? I got an extra set, a Tanakh original straight out of the Forbidden West. Sit. I'll run you through it in a hot spark. I'll give you something special if you win it on my boards, too. All right, let's start off simple. The Tanakh like to say that Machine Strike is a game of pure strategy. We each get a set of pieces. Each piece represents a kind of machine, and each machine is worth a different number of victory points. And to win the game, you'll need to gain 7 victory points by destroying the opponent's machines. It can be tricky remembering the details of every machine, so we use these notes to keep track of them. You see that number on the top right corner? That there is how many victory points you'll get for destroying that machine. Notes also tell you how far a piece can move, how powerful their attacks are, the distance they can strike from, and of course, their health. Okay, that's enough for now. Let's just play. I'll explain the rest as we go. I own the board, so I get to choose who goes first. Since this is your first time, I'll let you go. Usually you get to choose which pieces to set on the board, but this will do for now. Pick up that machine piece to your right, and move it forward. And remember, Each machine can only move a certain distance. Take a look at your notes if you need a reminder. Easy enough, huh? Now, you get to move 2 machines each round, so go ahead and pick a second machine. Perfect. There's not much else to do for now, so just end your turn. We're forging onwards. Let me move my pieces here. And we're back to you. This time, why don't you try attacking one of my pieces? Try with that machine on your right first. Now move the piece close. When performing an attack, you'll be testing your machine's combat power against the opponent's. A machine and its own attack power. This board only has grassland terrain, which has no effect on a machine's combat power. And your current machine has 2 points of attack power. So in total, your machine's combat power equals 2 points. Since my machine isn't the one attacking, it has 0 points of attack power. And just like your machine, it's not affected by grassland terrain. So right now, the difference in combat power between the 2 machines is 2 points. This means your machine can do 2 points of damage to my machine. Did you get all that? Knew you were a smart one. Finish up by attacking my machine. Not pulling any punches, huh? Now grab that second machine of yours. See how your machine can't move close enough to attack mine? You can make your machine sprint. That lets it move 1 space further. Try it out. If you sprint, you'll be able to reach my machine. Try sprinting up to one of my machines. Go ahead, just sprint over to my... Go ahead, just sprint over to my machine. Downside to sprinting is that your machine can no longer attack. Now, some players like to take a risk and overcharge their machine in cases like this. Overcharging lets you attack after a sprint, but it will damage your machine's health by 2 points. So use at your own discretion. Let's try doing that now so you can see what I mean. That's about it for your turn then. Now, I'll let you in on a neat trick. That machine of yours, the one closest to me, grab a hold of it. Same as in the wilds, machines have both armored points and weak points. You can see them marked on the pieces. Blue shows where their armor is thickest. Hit them there and you'll do some damage, but not a lot. Now, red shows the machine's weak points. Hit those and you'll deal a mighty blow. Here, let me show you. Rotate that piece so your machine faces mine. Now let that machine have it. Off the board she goes, and there's your first victory points. You don't have 7 of them yet, so let's keep going. Your machine attacked mine, but hasn't moved yet. Go ahead and move downward. You're gonna have to move that machine downwards if you want to see. You've already attacked a machine and moved your piece. But if you overcharge your machine, you can attack a second time. And by the look of your machine's health, you'd be sacrificing your piece to defeat mine. But sometimes that can be a good thing. Overcharge your machine to attack mine a second time, and I'll show you. Let's keep this game going. Overcharge your machine. just gotta overcharge that machine and attack mine. Ain't that a thrill? Now, because your machine was knocked out at the same time as mine, we both get the victory points our machines are worth. Good news is, since you're the one attacking, you're gonna receive your victory points before I do. Which means you can reach the coveted 7 victory points first. That's why sometimes losing a piece can be the best way to end a game in your favor. Now, you'll notice you didn't get quite up to 7 victory points this time, but you did destroy all my pieces. That means you're the winner! That wasn't so hard, was it? Just remember to always check for the best terrain to attack from. You'd be surprised the advantage you can gain over an opponent like that. I know it saved my behind in a game or two.
I'll try and remember that.
Oh, before I forget, these are all my spare pieces. I want the Savior of Meridian to have them. It's a small set to be sure, but it should be enough to get you in on any strike games you find out there. You might even fancy looking out for them strike carvers. They've got all kinds of unique pieces that can turn a game in your favor, though they'll need the right materials to craft you one. Or you might find them in the wilds if you're lucky. I know I've lost my fair share of pieces after a night of machine hunting or brew hopping. No need to thank me. Always a pleasure to help out new strike players. Now, if you feel like playing a real game, I've got plenty of other boards. I could even teach you a few more tricks if you're up for it.
Thanks. I'll think about it.
Don't be a stranger.
I knew you couldn't resist some good company. Come for that beer after all, eh? Here, sit down. Get a pint in her hand. Wasn't expecting you to swing by.
Since when do I do what's expected?
Ha! There's that spark. Fire and spit.
Fire and spit.
That's a blast from the bellows. Won't fix the forge, but at least I can forget about my troubles for a while.
Like what?
Well, things aren't as bad since you got this... place running again. But we still got Olvin grating the gears about his concession decree. If you don't put that down, I'll come over there and show you how that game ends. Anyway, right now, I'm just worried about those refugees out from Sunfall. To come all this way enduring Forge knows what.
Shadow Carja refugees. What are they doing in the Daunt?
Looking for a new home, I gather. They're camped out by an old trailhead, southwest of here. And therein lies the problem. A Stormbird crashed up on the cliffs last week, and Talon Cleanbrokers had his eye on the salvage ever since. But the refugees have barred entrance. Mustn't interrupt their sun-scorched ritual. Something about finding a twilight path.
Huh. I never heard them talk about that before.
Yeah, well, these particular Shadow Carja are an odd bunch. But overall, they're peaceful folk. Not that it matters to Talon. He'll crack some heads to get to that salvage. Maybe you could swing by, convince him to set up camp somewhere else?
So the bristlebacks in the Daunt. Where did they come from?
That's the thing. No one rightly knows. They just showed up one day, rampaging around the valley like they exploded out of a forge. Lost some good people. But bless the bellows, you cleared them out and got this place working again. That put a dent in Ulvin's plans. Now, if only there were some way to smash them all together and run them out of town.
But how could Bristlebacks and the Daunt help Ulvund?
2 words. Concession decree. Since no one knows where the Bristlebacks came from, Ulvund has taken to blaming the Carja for them. He's hoping to dig up enough old resentments to get a strike going until the concession's signed. This is just his latest attempt. He's been trying to rile up the workers since the day he rolled into town.
And people actually believe him?
Lots of folks suffered at the hands of the Mad King during the Red Raids. Give him half a reason, they'll blame the Carja for anything.
Damn Carja slavers.
I thought you'd be back in Freeheap.
Well, after the big battle at Meridian, I went back, but realized it was running smooth. Didn't need me. Heard about the rebuilding out at Barren Light. Figured they could use another hammer. Been scraping by ever since.
You could always leave.
And go back east? Nah. I ain't one to leave a lit forge. Besides, someone's gotta be a squeaky wheel for the workers around here.
What else can you tell me about the Shadow Carja refugees?
Well, they don't call themselves Shadow Carja for one. At least, not anymore. They're some other brand of sun-crazed. But whatever side of the sun they're on, they're peaceful through and through. Don't seem to want for nothing except a place to live, pray, and just enough food to keep from starving.
So they're just camped outside by a trail, blocking entry to a wrecked Stormbird, waiting for... what, exactly?
Don't rightly know, but I'll tell you this. Should they ever wise up and salvage it, a Stormbird heart is worth a lot. And if they get there first, then by Ostrom law, it's theirs. Not that Tolan Cleanbrokers ever lost sleep over any law breaking.
Who is this Toland Cleanbroker?
Just some chuff-huffing pondsman. Got a shop here in town. Lived in Chainscrape since there was a Chainscrape. He and Ulvund go back a ways. Like a pair of coals in a campfire, those two.
So Toland works for Ulvund?
Ha! Ulvund might think so, but Toland scrapes up his own scams. And he ain't the type to let a few refugees get between him and Stormbird salvage.
So about Ulvund.
Around here, everything's about Ulvund.
How'd he end up in charge?
He got here early, like a squirrel smelling a fat nut. He knew rebuilding Barren Light would need stone and timber. So he jangled purses all over Mainspring, getting investors to front claims on anything in the Daunt that might be worth a damn. Thing is, all the bankers back home know that this is Carja land, and the Sun King can revoke those claims at any time. That's why he's desperate for the magistrate to sign off on a concession decree.
This concession decree, what is it exactly? And how would it help Ulvund?
It's pig diddle, that's what.
A writ that would put all Osram claims in the Daunt under Osram law, even though they're on Carja land. It would mean that any existing ore, stone, and timber claims couldn't be revoked by the Carja. No more risk, no more hesitation for investors back in the claim to pour in the shards and expand their business. And since Ulvund has a stake in all those claims, it would make him richer than a scrapper in a junk heap. Not to mention Chainscrape would become an Osram municipality, so he could buy enough votes to call himself an elderman. He's a sly old badger, I'll give him that. Figures if he keeps up the pressure, eventually the magistrate will sign.
Well, if I'm up that way, I'll talk to the refugees. Try to convince them to move.
Much appreciated. They have it rough. Don't need Talon making it rougher.
Petra said Talon has a shop here in Chainscrape. I could have a word with him first.